like to call the Lee County Board of Commissioners to order. Good to see all of you here. Welcome to our chambers, and we appreciate your interest in our public meetings and appreciate you being here. If you would please mute your cell phones or turn them off so we don't have any interruptions during the meetings. And at the present time, I'm going to ask Commissioner Ricky Frazier to give our invocation, and we'll do pledge of allegiance.
Let us bow our heads. Precious God, again, we thank you for another privilege and opportunity for us to come together to discuss business and affairs of our community and our county. We pray, God, that you bless each individual who is here, and we ask, God, that your blessings be upon them. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's start out with are there any additional agenda items, and I have one where we have a request for some fireworks, and we'll put that down under new business item G, I believe it is. Any other additions to the agenda?
I have one I'd like for the board to consider regarding a policy amendment.
Okay. This is new business.
It probably will be.
Okay.
I can discuss it at any point you choose, but
So it'll be item H,
all right.
and under new business. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I would like to, if we're going to come back to the consent agenda.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor of the agenda say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, approval of consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I would move that we move the 2D Home and Community Care Block Grant for older adults to the main agenda under new business, or actually, where do we talk about that?
Under new business.
Under new business, okay.
Yeah, item A, we'll
Right.
move to item A.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll move item D under approval of consent agenda to item A under new business. Any other changes to consent agenda? We have a motion. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, move on to public comment. We have one public comment. Public comments are 3 minutes. Please state your name, address, and subject, and I believe Casey McLaughlin. You come forward, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Casey McLaughlin. I live on First Street in Broadway, and I'm here to speak with you about the budget with regards to education in Lee County Schools. I've chosen to speak to you today in order to ask you to do all that you can to preserve and protect the instructional assistants of Lee County Schools. I've been a Lee County teacher for 16 years, and I'm also the parent of a 5th grader. Together with my colleagues, we are committed to the future of our county, our state, and our nation. I implore you to take a stand and support public education in Lee County. The act of educating today's children is most definitely a team effort. Gone are the days of the one-room schoolhouse mentality. The saying, "It takes a village," though cliche at times, is the most accurate way to describe what we do on a daily basis. Our assistants are a crucial part of our students' education. Today's classroom looks totally different than it did even 10 years ago. We have technologies available that used to be only in our dreams. We have students who represent all corners of the world. Our students have many different needs that must be addressed in many different ways to prepare them for the global workplace of tomorrow. Our instructional assistants are an integral part of our schools that help us meet those needs. They are no longer just the bus drivers or clerical help that they once were. Without our teacher assistants, our small group instruction would be ineffective. I have a class of 23 kindergartners. With my 23 kindergartners with my assistant in the room, that class becomes a class of 12 or 13, where I can meet their needs as best as we can. Through small group and one-on-one instruction, those assistants are helping us to meet their needs every day. And invariably, you have things that happen in a classroom on a daily basis that I cannot tell you about in 3 minutes. It's not possible. Sick children, phone calls, conferences, that you have to have 2 adults with you to work through them. Not to mention all the state mandated testing that we have to do. We have to have teachers, we have to have proctors, and we don't simply have enough folks in place to fill all those roles. The loss of our 3rd grade assistants a few years ago put a strain on the daily operations of our elementary schools. Losing more of these positions will negatively affect the children in this county and this state. Even if our kindergarten assistants are spared, as we've heard, we would have to work together as a school to best decide how to utilize the staff that we have. And no scenario that I can imagine would give our kids what they need and what they deserve. And as teachers, we realize the importance of sacrifice and compromises. But when the education of our children is at stake, what cost is acceptable for their future and for our future? I urge you to do whatever you can to preserve and protect what is already in place for our Lee County children, our instructional assistants. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McLaughlin. Okay, moving on to old business. Consider TARPO locally coordinated human service transportation plan. David Davidson, please.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, Matt Day is back with us
Oh,
today.
Matt's gonna come and do
since
that.
Matt was able to be here, I'm going to turn it over to him. He wrote it.
Okay. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you for having me again today. I believe I presented to you at your last meeting 2 weeks ago, and don't want to go through all of that again, but I know there were some people who wanted to have a chance to read a little more deeply and have a chance to ask any more questions. We are seeking your approval of that document today, if possible.
Okay. Any questions of Matt?
Yeah, I do thank you for the detailed report, and I was quite taken by the information in the report. One thing that surprised me, and maybe you want to do this for public record, the diversity of the fleet and the counties that were put in that grant request, or for all the counties that we were compared to, and all of that. I'm just curious, why is it they have such a greater diversity in their fleet than Lee County does?
Honestly, that's a question I would not know the answer to. I don't know if you all.
I can reply that Lee County chooses to do the best we can with the number of vehicles. The other counties do have more vehicles than we do. We also choose to run the lift-equipped vehicles because Lee County provides more lift client transportation than any of those other counties.
So it's basically, we're tailoring ours after the clientele that we have,
Yes.
not necessarily by the distances, because I'm sure they don't travel the same distances we do either. I mean, they're going probably a lot farther on their legs than we're going in Chatham and, yeah.
Yes.
And I do know that up in Chatham and Orange, they have they have more of sort of fixed route services where they're doing long distance connecting Pittsburgh to Salt City to Chapel Hill with the
Right.
fixed route. So they have different vehicle needs for those types of services.
Okay.
Orange County also connects with their urban funding, with their urban system. So really, we really can't compare ourselves to Orange at all because of their funding structure.
Okay.
But they're a part of this because they are one of the Triangle J area counties.
Okay, any other questions for Matt?
That's it.
Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the Lee County Senior Services Transit
Okay.
System report.
Thank you. Any discussion? Question? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous? Thank you, Matt, for coming all the way down to do that for us. And then we'll move on into new business. That's Debbie.
Okay, I have before you the Home and Community Care Block Grant proposed funding summary for FY 2014. Our funding level is proposed, and this is totally proposed. I will almost tell you, you'll be getting another one of these that will be revised. But $358,188 with a required local match of $39,799. This is our current funding structure less the sequester reduction that I discussed with you in another meeting. Were there questions?
Anybody have a question for Debbie?
No, the only reason I asked to move that block grant off the consent agenda was because we have a standing rule, I think, that says anytime we're going to appropriate money, that we want to make sure that that's an affirmative vote, not that we question anything about the grant.
Okay. We have a motion?
Move to approve.
Okay, move to approve, and any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous?
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Okay. Consider agreement between Lee County Waste Industries for solid waste services. Gary, would you go, please?
Good evening. I'm here tonight to ask you to approve the agreement for roll-off hauling and front-load dumpster service between Lee County and Waste Industries. As you know, the agreement would take effect July 1st and will run for an initial term of 5 years with additional 5-year terms afterwards. If there's any questions you have, I'm happy to answer any.
I'd like, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Mr. Cherry, just, I read in there was talking about making sure that trash doesn't get piled up. Now, I use the Woodland Ave facility often, and usually after a weekend, when we have everybody's cleaning everything and it gets
Right.
piled up, are we going to be able to alleviate that with this contract?
We're going to make every effort to. I can't promise that waste isn't going to get a pile up on the ground from time to time. We try to, we have a knuckle boom, which we try to pick it up off the ground as soon as possible.
This has to do with, though, I think, with what he's talking about, because we have the same problem out there at
Right.
Broadway, is that okay. You know, the dumpsters get filled up, and then they're having us pile them up in an open container.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you got older folks that drop off out there, and they're having to lift their bags over their heads up on the thing, and that's not acceptable.
Well, in those cases, again, if there's somebody that has a physical inability to do that, then we would just say, just put it off to the side, or on occasion, the attendant will give them the assistance if they can.
I think part of the other issue is that since we're open on the weekends, the main convenience sites are, the transfer station isn't, as convenient, so we can't make pulls on the weekend. Waste Industries has indicated they may put their own transfer station here in town. And if they do that, then they can control the waste a little bit better. They also control the landfill. So, it may be something that they'll be able to be, address, and they're not going to want it on the ground either. Just creates more work for them.
Yeah, because a lot of times what would happen is, you could understand Monday morning it being full because of the weekend. A lot of times it's still full on Tuesday morning. And so.
Well, one additional advantage to this, I suppose you could say, is they have more resources than we had, so that if that is an issue, they could probably call another truck in and say.
So has this been discussed with them?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Joe, talk to me about leaf and limb a little bit. What's the plan there?
We don't have a final plan for that. We're discussing that to look for a future course of action on that. Right now, we basically have an area at the old landfill, and we accept it from anybody within Lee County. And then once a year, we grind it, or when that.
Have we put out an RFI or any type of public notice that we're interested in a local private contract for that purpose?
That was part of the RFP that we had done for
For
these solid waste
industry,
services.
but I know they weren't interested in it.
There wasn't anybody interested
So-
in
The
it.
major hauling companies were not.
Right.
There are a couple of smaller companies that handle leaf and limb and do some recycling with it.
Mhm.
And we've had informal discussions with them.
Okay.
The problem we have is we don't have the volume that they're looking for. And
If we-
I think on June 10th, we've got that committee meeting with the city.
Okay.
Be a good item to bring up with the city, because the city's looking for the same thing, to try to get out of that and maybe privatize their operations as well. So
That'd be super.
might be something we can work together with them on.
You know, let's make sure that we've adequately informed the local population, because there may be some locals that are interested in taking on that challenge on a one-year trial basis to see if it could be profitable for them or whatever. I think it'd be great if we could find a local one that we could contract with to do that. And I know that's an ongoing thing. Hopefully the city will be willing to work with us to try to get the volumes up. The other thing I wanted to do is make a point that I think what we're doing in the budget this year with your department is very important. And I think general services and waste management in particular, that the public may not be aware of, that it's been proposed that we privatize a part of your operation and that we downsize the government staff and move towards more private activity. And I commend you. I want to commend you guys for your willingness to embrace that, and I know it hurts when you having to shrink your staff, but when the financial benefits outweigh the perpetuation of the status quo, that's the right decision to make. And I just want to commend you guys for making that transition. It sets a good example and a good model for the rest of the county. And I just want to commend you for that, to work intelligently towards privatization of some of that activity.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
I know Mr. Spivey and I have had this conversation a couple times before, but was there much discussion with this company on like a hazardous waste collection? You know, we have it, refresh my memory, we have it once a year, and I know when I've asked years ago about maybe having it more than once, it was sort of cost prohibitive. You know, is it the same with this company as well?
They're not actually a hazardous waste company. I mean,
So,
they
the
deal
change
with
is
the.
still, it would be the same drill.
Still having the same,
Yeah.
and we do that with, grant funding.
Right.
And it's really outside of our normal solid waste collection activities. So as long as the state keeps funding that one day, we're probably going to stick to that one day.
Okay, well, I mean, that's just something I hear from the citizens is, I mean, you miss that one day, then you miss the opportunity to sort of do that one-stop shop kind of thing, and the interest in having it more than once, and I didn't know if this company would,
That is a goal for my,
you and I are on the same
not
page.
long-term, but long-term goal
Gotcha,
to
gotcha.
find other
So
options
what
for
we
that.
Talking about that they're mostly concerned about.
Well, I mean, everybody has, whether it's in a storage building or a garage or something, the paint from painting the house and,
Solvents.
and just a safe, place. I mean, you don't want people putting them in their trash bags and throwing them at the centers, so anytime we can give them an opportunity to do it safely to where we can monitor what's there and have a safe way to dispose of it. But again, as Mr. Spivey has educated me in the past, that costs money. So I just didn't know changing companies, if maybe they had, a format to do that differently from what we've done in the past.
What is the cost for that one day?
Last year it cost us approximately $16,000.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
Well, it may not be as expensive as the damage that.
That's true. That's true. I mean,
So you
that's.
may need to think about
Mhm.
how we could implement it, maybe 2 or 3 times a year, in addition to the one that we get. We can look at it.
The one thing I was going to suggest is that there are some things that they pick up in that annual hazardous waste pickup that have natural channels that we can dispose of it, like batteries and light bulbs. And there are places, and the more we promote the use of Lowe's and places that'll do collection points for some of that material, it'll reduce our cost burden by them.
Well, we've done that, particularly
Okay.
with the fluorescent light tubes.
Right.
We're doing that now, so that we're getting murdered by the
Yeah, I know.
fluorescent light tubes. But
Yeah, it's
so that has helped a little bit.
Good.
But a lot of that stuff that you mentioned, we do take on a regular basis,
Right.
but people still.
I'm not picking on you, but if with the fracking and all of the hazardous waste that comes off that, is there any way we could get some funds
Well,
and wrap this into
that's
that?
being dealt with. That's being dealt with as and the county's not going to suffer any expense from that. I will tell you that right now. The plan currently is for it to go to a hazardous waste landfill where it's specially treated, and it may or may not be inside Lee County. More likely, it won't be. It'll probably be a certified hazardous waste landfill for those leachates to go to that site. We're not going to have that stuff disposed of
No.
locally.
I mean, I was just wondering if we've got any funding, if we'd be able to piggyback this onto that.
I think it would depend upon, because these are
Directly to the extraction.
naturally occurring materials as opposed to,
Paints and solids.
disposal of commercial grade stuff. I mean, there are industrial landfills where some of this stuff goes to, the stuff that's not recycled. But a lot of the cost is because they recycle that stuff. They recycle a good amount of the material that we pick up in hazardous waste.
Well, the biggest thing is paint.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
we get killed with paint.
Yeah.
And we try to educate people that if it's latex paint, that basically let it dry and throw in your trash.
Yeah.
But a lot of people still just prefer to bring it, which is fine. I mean, we take
Mainly
it.
what you're looking for is oil-based.
Mm-hmm. We would take the latex, because like I said, a lot of people don't want to go through the trouble of pouring it over speedy dry or kitty litter and then letting it dry. But so we take both, but yeah, we try to educate people throughout the year to do something different with the latex paint.
So the message for people watching is just take the lid off your latex tank, let it dry out, and then you can safely bring it to the.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it'll dry a little faster if you put some type of absorbent material, sawdust,
Charcoal or-
anything like that,
Okay.
as long as it's not in a liquid form.
Okay, any other questions for Joe? Or?
Yeah, just one more. I noticed on here you had bid for vehicles. Are these vehicles sold? Or did,
When you approve this contract, they'll be sold.
oh, I move to approve.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Chair? All right. If not, no further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, carried unanimous. Thank you.
Is that disposal information online on the website?
I'm sorry, which?
The disposal of paints, thing you
Yeah,
just mentioned?
yes. Yes. There's actually a link that goes to what they call the 5-point leftover paint plan.
Okay.
Okay, next item is consider consulting agreement for WIC director position, Mr. Terrell Jones.
Carol's on vacation this week,
Oh, I'm
so
sorry.
Bettina's here to
Thank
take
you.
his spot.
Hey, how are you?
Thank you.
Good afternoon to everyone. I'm standing in for Mr. Jones this afternoon. As you have in front of you the consulting agreement with Nutrition That Works Corporation in Lee County Health Department. As we have a director vacancy in our WIC department, and after extensive, a lot of advertising with no qualified applicants, we decided to use an independent contractor as an interim solution. And this position calls for, as it's a nutritionist 3 level, it calls for a registered dietitian, and they are hard to locate. I have advertised, and I know at least 12 different agencies, websites, and we had to resort to helping out the WIC staff, and they needed the help because they see over 2,000 clients a month, and with the nutrition services, it's really pulling on the two that we have now. And so we asked you to approve this contract. It has been reviewed by Mr. Neil Yarborough, and I think he's okay with it. It has gone back to the director of the Nutrition That Works. She is okay with it because it was revised a little on this end. And we just asked if you would approve this for us. Because they do have a registered dietitian. We have interviewed this lady, and she was really good.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to point out that on page 48, item 3, we can give them 30 days notice to
Okay.
terminate.
Yes.
So
My question is, we have an early termination clause?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, good.
we're not, even though the intention would be 18 to 36 months, if something were to occur, we can give them 30 days notice.
You say we have 2 people already in the position of nutrition.
They are nutrition ones, and this is a position, the WIC director was nutrition is 3 level.
Okay.
What's the difference? Just their education,
It's
master's degree?
Is the education and the WIC director 3 do supervising and does the budgets and all of that. I'm sorry, someone.
How does this fit in with our budget on that item?
It's already in the budget approved at this amount. Actually, I think it's this amount plus benefits, so it's actually a little bit to our good
Okay.
in the budget.
I move to approve the agreement.
Any further discussion?
Did you say 2,000 cases a month?
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions or discussion? All those approved, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Might be the cheapest way to do it.
Next one's consider changes to bylaws for economic development. Mr. John Carter.
Yes, sir. Under the Economic Development Corporation's charter, any changes to their bylaws has to be approved by the Lee County Board of Commissioners and the Lee County Board of Commissioners only. And the EDC Board has requested the addition of 2 appointees from the Sanford Chamber of Commerce to their board to help in the new development of the new organization. So this was unanimously approved by their board on May 15th and has been forwarded to us for consideration and approval.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a few comments about this action. First, I'd like to say that I support the action to add 2 members of the chamber to the standing body of the EDC Board of Directors, simply to help us shape and mold the new unified board along the lines that we've talked about over the last 6 or 8 months. I think it makes a lot of sense to have them at the table instead of on the outside looking in. If we plan to have the chamber actively engaged in the future EDC, then we need to have them both working together, not having to run things back and forth to each other. The second thing I'd like to say is that this set of bylaws, which has been submitted to us, has been, I would say, grossly in need of adjustment for years. And it's not adequate as a set of bylaws and needs to be modified, but that's not the issue today. So if there are any other concerns that other folks have, I've got a number with this set of bylaws, the way it's drafted. It needs to get fixed over the long term, and I would hope that by our approval today of adding the 2 members, that one line in the bylaws, that we also make a note that this is just one of many changes that need to be made to the bylaws. Because there are doing things in the EDC right now that are just not acceptable, like taking proxy votes and which are not addressed in the bylaws in any way that I can see. If we turn Councilor Yarbrough loose with this thing, he'd probably pick it to death. At some future date, we need to revisit these bylaws and get them up to date and get them.
In the future date with economic strategy plan, that a lot of this will go away and we'll have totally new ones anyway.
Right, I think it probably wouldn't be fruitful for us to try to undertake it right now, but as we draft the set of bylaws for the new unified board, then we need to make sure that they accurately reflect ground truth and that the numbers are right and that the appointments are correct. We don't need voting ex officio members in some cases. They don't need to be voters. They can just be representatives. So a lot of things need to be fixed. But I don't want that to keep us from taking board action to get the chamber to the table. And I think that's what we need to do.
Why don't we just include that as a part of the motion to approve, is to place on the agenda the rework of the bylaws.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I would move that we approve with, under the condition that the bylaws are going to be updated in sometime in the next 90 to 180 days. They'll get the bylaws updated and reflecting the nature of the new organization. Yeah, and best practices for economic development.
Yeah, the 180 days, I think, would fit fine.
Okay.
Give everybody time to get acclimated.
Right. Give us time to get their economic strategy plan plus public hearings if we're
Right.
doing that, so that'd be good. Okay, any further discussion on this? Ricky, you have anything?
No, I'm fine.
I just got one quick question.
Okay.
Because I don't have the General Assembly members ex officios, or what's the deal?
No, he's not, and he should be. Actually, my recommendation when we update the bylaws is just take him out. Because, I mean, he was put in there, I think back when Representative Sauls was our representative up in Raleigh.
Okay.
And he had an interest in economic development, haven't done that when he was on the board.
Right.
And I think he got his name added, but I don't know that Representative Stone has attended a single meeting.
Right.
And but the way their schedule works, it's not to his detriment. I mean, the way the schedule works, it's just not convenient for the representatives to come down here. And why do you put them on there? It's just a token seat. I mean, he shouldn't be on there.
All right.
Any other discussion, questions? We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes. Next agenda item is consider budget amendment. Mr. Crumpton again, or you guys?
Yes. No, sir. I'm going to handle this one. The budget amendment is for $8,600 and covers insurance refunds for vehicles that were damaged in the sheriff's department. This money needs to be allocated to their vehicle maintenance so that they can continue to do vehicle maintenance to the end of the fiscal year.
So it exceeds the budget by 8,600. Is that what?
Yes, sir. You know, this is for work that mainly body work that need to be done.
Any discussion, questions for Mr. Crumpton?
Just curious, what was the situation?
Well, there's several.
More than one?
Yes, sir. I think there were a couple deer hits, a couple of parking lot incidents, and yes, sir. So I think we discussed a few of those on Friday morning.
Okay, any other discussion or questions?
Move to approve.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the budget amendment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, next one that we have is, we had an addition that was left on your console about fireworks.
You skipped Mr. Womack's item there.
Resolution.
I did. Disregard, let's go back. Item E, consider resolution for Lee County to join American County for Energy Independence Organization. Commissioner Womack.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. The purpose of this resolution is to allow Lee County to formally join with peer counties that are in the energy producing business around the country to share best practices and to help each other optimize the regulatory oversight and the learning curve that the other counties have been through, so we don't have to make some of the same mistakes that they did. Currently, the National Association of Counties, as good as a job as it does in the environment area and public lands and a lot of other areas, it's severely lacking in its dealings with energy industry. It just, it's I tell people it's a little E energy and a big E environment committee, EELU at the NACO level. And there's been a void for many years, especially as the country is going through this new sea change of energy development. There's been an absence of a national body to deal with these issues, particularly down at the county level, and how counties get past problems like setbacks and hazardous waste disposal and those kinds of issues. we have peer counties around the country that have been doing this for 20, 30 years, and we don't have a lot of sharing going on at the national level. So that's what this organization would do, is allow us to have peer-to-peer relationships around the country with counties that are in the energy producing business, that have already been down the path that we're going down, so that we can share those best practices. I did fly to a conference in Houston with the board last month, and had a great, I got probably $10,000 worth of information and value to the county and to the state that I gathered there while I was there, just from things, from standards and from rules that they had written and ideas that they had that they generated just in that one weekend of activity down there. And I think we're going to get enormous value out of this. The cost to the county is $500 per year to be a member of the organization, and with that we'll be at emails distance from any of those other peer counties that are in the energy business that can help us. I think it's great value for the money. I don't anticipate any other costs being attributable back to the county, and I think we would get. I can't think of another organization we could join that would give us more help right now.
Okay. Any questions, Jim?
And I move to approve this this resolution as written.
Okay.
Tell me, if you will, how did this group come about that you're asking us to join?
Okay, it's actually a fairly new organization. It was just the bylaws of the organization were just approved May 24th of this year. It came about when Doug McClinko, commissioner from Bradford County, Pennsylvania, up in the Marcellus Shale, recognized after futile years of futility of trying to get action taken and evidence that he could generate to support changes in Pennsylvania in the way they wrote their rules and the way they did their taxation. After years of struggling with that, he started consulting with some of the industry reps, and he got lined up with peer county commissioners and parish attorneys around the country, and found out that a lot of these lessons learned had already been documented in other places, but he couldn't get that information through NACO. So he said, well, we ought to start a new organization. He collaborated with Dr. Dan Fine out of New Mexico, who's an industry coordinator, and he helped him line up with some of these other commissioners: McMullen County, Texas; Wise County, Texas; Lee County, New Mexico; Caddo Parish, Louisiana. Some of these big industry or energy industry counties. And by conferring with each other over the phone over a period of about 6 or 8 months, they agreed that they would form a new organization. And they searched for a title. It's not real sexy. It's America's Counties for Energy Independence, but you can't really pronounce it well, but as an acronym. But it's still a well-intentioned organization. They are gracious to offer to emerging counties the opportunity to join as well. The fee to the energy producing counties that joined was $5,000 a year, or I think they start at $2,500 and they go to $5,000 eventually. But for emerging energy counties like Lee County, North Carolina, it would only be $500 a year until we had the revenues that would support.
Is it advantageous that we get on board now, or is it possible that we could review it some before? I know you said that it's here. This company now they was just established just a while back. Is that what you're saying?
They actually started meeting in 2012. They finally put the bylaws together, and they got their 501c3 approved late last year. They got their bylaws voted and approved on May the 24th of this year. I think it's good to be an early adopter and to get involved now. I find it particularly useful personally because I have a seat on the Mining and Energy Commission, and we're trying to write rules, and I can reach out to these guys instantly as a member organization and gather from them enormously useful feedback on rulemaking and fees and taxes and all kinds of things.
I mean, I realize that you're the expert around the table on this, because you have been involved. However, I'm just thinking that, it would give the board the opportunity to sort of dive in whatever it is, and then we can review it. And then that way we can vote on it on the next meeting.
You're welcome to do that. My motion stands that I would like to approve it now so that we can go ahead and be done with it. I think there are 4 votes to approve it, and I would like that we move forward. So I don't, have to revisit this
I
issue.
can count to 4.
Go ahead.
Well, just.
Call it backhand.
Just full disclosure, Jim, when I was looking at, the members, just so I don't get, approached later on. In section 3 of the membership categories, it has business associate members, again, just full disclosure. Are there energy companies that are these non-voting members? If you could share that.
There have been a number of energy companies that have been approached about helping to sponsor the organization so they can do educational outreach and promotion.
Okay.
But so far, I know of 3 that have joined, and none of the big name companies. I mean, Halliburton, Schlumberger, Baker Hughes, none of those companies have joined yet. They've got deep pockets. I think they're waiting to see if this organization is going to generate enough counties joining to make it worth their while to participate. Right now, we're really depending upon some of these energy producing counties to carry the torch.
Right, I mean, that was just,
Yeah.
Just for public information
Oh, yeah.
and public peace of mind, because, there are a lot of people out there still looking at this
Hey,
issue.
I doubt seriously if the Sierra Club is going to become a business associate, okay? I would just,
Well, it would be nice if it was across the
Yeah, it would.
board, just to get all people to the
It would.
table. But, if we've got, I just wanted to get that out there to the
That's a
public.
good
That
point.
we have, we don't have 7 counties and 20 energy companies.
right, if you didn't know that from the name, America's Counties
Well,
for
sure.
Energy Independence, okay?
Right.
These are all about unconventional and conventional oil and gas development. That's what this is about.
Okay, well, that's
Yeah.
just, when I got to that section 3 and saw that business associate members could be on the board corporately, I just put the brakes on for a minute till I
Well,
talk to you.
no, they're not going to be on the board of directors. They can be members of the organization. They cannot be on the board of directors. In fact, you have to be an elected official from a county or a parish that is an energy producing or an emerging energy producing county or parish to be on the board of
So
directors.
they're just sort of a ex officio supporting type.
Not even ex officio, they're members of the organization that help promote and the education, outreach, and that sort of thing.
Okay.
So, I mean, they're naturally predisposed to want to get, the pro-industry knowledge base expanded.
I'm not on the attack. I'm simply trying to understand how, I know how you will be able to have exchanges with them, how the county will do it. Is this something that manager will have access to make contact with and get?
Absolutely. In fact, the county manager from Lee County, New Mexico is a really active participant in this.
I want to change the name of that county.
It's spelled LEA, okay, so he's a little different. But he's actually one of the guys that helped get this organization rolling. Very, very active county manager. In fact, I would highly encourage a peer-to-peer relationship between Lee, North Carolina, and Lee, New Mexico, because they've mastered a lot of these things. There's some simple things that they do that we're going to take a huge note of. For example, ad valorem taxation. Some of these states and counties have been down that path already. They know how to do it. What software to purchase and to use to help you manage your ad valorem taxation. And those kinds of things you don't find anywhere else in North Carolina. You got to get that from a peer county or a peer state. So that's kind of why I think it's important for us to join, because we, on any one collaboration, we'll save 10 times what we pay in annual fees, just in lack of energy, or lack of the energy that we have to put into it. Knowledge, you got it.
And I intend to support it. How soon might we get a copy of the existing members and those who are in the business but not members yet across the nation?
I can get you, by the end of the week, I can get you a list of all the people who have contributed to the organization. We can get that. I think there's only 3 commercial firms that have either sent their check or have indicated they are. The rest of them are taken away in.
I'm actually talking about county governments.
Oh, in fact, all the county governments that are members are in the resolution.
Okay.
The ones that have already joined.
But once, if this is approved tonight, and once we're in the mix, then do we sort of, and I guess John approves us cutting the check to be, get that ball rolling and they get the check, then we can start through our county email getting their information and updates and newsletters, or their information that they have.
Scott Staruk, who is the director He's not an elected official, he's just the director. He has a website, and the website's in, I think I've sent all of you, or you should have a copy of the link and the login information to go to the trial website. It's not been released or made publicly visible yet, but it's about to be. They're just trying to refine a few things. That'll be available instantaneously. A lot of the material, the research information that's out there on the website will be available to be drawn down in PDF form. The member counties are all identified on the website, and there's a name and a point of contact for all the directors. So that'll be all available via the website very soon.
But in addition to that, I'm asking, is there an additional list of counties that did not join? If you follow what I'm asking.
Well, there's, you know,
That are energy producers, I think is what
by the count that we have, there are 135 energy producing counties in the country right now. Only of the 3,000 or so jurisdictions, there's only 135 that are truly energy producing. And all of them are now being approached. I don't think there's a single county that said we've been approached and we're not going to join.
Okay.
I don't know that they're keeping a record of the folks that said no. They're just keeping a record of the ones that said maybe or yes.
But
So
you're saying, I mean, this, if I've heard you correctly, you know, just for clarification, you said that they really just got off the ground with their bylaws May 24th. So
Yeah.
this is in its
part
infancy
of
stage.
the reason why
Yeah,
some
so-
counties haven't joined is they're waiting to see the bylaws and to see what other counties are joining and that sort of thing. Yeah.
All right, let me try this again.
Okay.
If there, what did you say, 3,000?
There's roughly 3,000 or so jurisdictions, counties, parishes, that kind of thing around the country.
Will this organization have a list of those 3,000 by any chance?
Well, I think they're only the oil and gas producing counties are the ones that are being approached. Right. That's 135 or so, and we'll have a master list of all of those counties and the ones that said yes and no. We'll create that list. Right now, they're only keeping up with the ones that say yes and getting them into the network. So, but if there are counties that say no, I guess we could, or, you know, that they've been contacted through the phone or email or whatever. I can start a list of that for you if you're interested.
I'd like to know the good and the bad.
Well-
I'm invested.
Okay, I don't know that there's any bad for not joining. I don't.
Well, it may be in their mind, maybe in my mind.
I mean, somebody might have. Okay. Well, again, I can get you a list of the ones that say yes, and all the rest of them have not said yes yet. So, I mean, I can do that. Yeah.
Okay, any further questions for Jim? Andre, you got anything? Okay. Then we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Okay. One opposite. Resolution passes, and we move on to, now we can get to the fireworks permit for special event.
Let's see, let me ask one quick question. I just thought of when I looked at this again, this resolution. Is this an annual fee or a one-time?
It's an annual $500 fee.
All right.
Okay, we had fireworks permit for special event requested by Joe Amos. Is there anybody here representing them? Okay. One of the things that I did when this was sent to the county was ask them to go back and make sure that we had a letter from the county fire marshal's office to say that they were committed to this for inspection and fire truck. And we did get the letter dated May 30th, 2013. It is in your package. So what's your pleasure with this?
I move to approve, but just for information, Joel Emmons puts on the 4th of July demonstration out there. Went out there last year and the year before, so
Okay.
although it is on short notice, and probably would ask if he would in the future get it in a timely manner.
You know, we just got this today, so I just had a brief chance to look over it. Has anybody talked to him? I mean, is he starting a business where he's gonna do this for special events?
Joel actually is licensed to do this,
No,
but
Well,
He does it on a recurring basis, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm, when I saw that it was for private events, I mean, I know he does a great job with the July 4th. And the small number of people. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, it's just, every time he's.
It's a business, that's a different issue, right? He's
Yeah, I mean,
different
that's kind of
permitted
what
for
I'm
that,
coming at, is the we, every once in a while, gonna get one of these because he's, been rented out to do this in the county, and then it becomes a business venture, and then are we looking at a different animal as far as permitting?
We had a bit of a crisis about a year ago, I think, where we were at the last minute, and if we couldn't do an emergency resolution to let him do it, he's gonna have to get a local bill done up in Raleigh in order to make it legal, or actually had to go to court. I think he was gonna have to go to court and get a judge's order that allowed him to do it. So I think Commissioner Smith made a really good point, that he needs to get this in a little earlier.
Right.
So that he can make sure he gets the approval. And the second thing is that if we're gonna bear any cost, if the taxpayers of Lee County are gonna bear cost, either for emergency services or fire suppression or whatever, with someone on standby, then there ought to be a fee that goes with it.
Right.
is he bonded for this stuff? Do you
I think
know,
there's an
John?
insurance bond on the back of it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Policy.
right. Okay, I remember.
It
Difference
says-
between a policy and a bond, though.
This is a policy
It says
here.
that he's gonna, inform the local volunteer fire department, and again, if he is starting a business and he's providing entertainment for the community and the citizens, and, I mean, that's great, I'm all for that, but,
I think he's already in business.
Well, I've got a question.
I mean, I'm
Oh.
not against it
Here we go.
necessarily, this has kind of dropped in my lap this afternoon, and I'm a little bit,
Mr. Chairman, may I ask my question?
Let me see if.
no, go ahead.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay. I see three different names coming up here. I see that we're issuing a permit to Joel Ammons.
Yeah.
If you look at the back page, go to the next page in front of that. I see that Hale Artifacts or Artificier Inc. is the insured, and I see that M&M Fireworks is the
Business.
licensee from ATF. So I've got three different things going on here, and I'm not.
What was the
I just
second
thought
name?
it
You talking
worth
about?
pointing out.
If you look at the
Well, that's
Department
the
of
certificate is
Justice.
issued to Joel Ammons. I think that's the insurer issuing to Joel Ammons.
Yeah, he's the one that's got the training.
And the M&M is his business?
It says he's an employee possessor letter of clearance. So I guess that means he's a laborer for M&M Fireworks,
Right.
which is owned by a Frankie Sylvester Fraley.
I can.
A lot of names.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this just got dropped in my lap this afternoon, and so I haven't had a chance to call him or question or talk to Mr. Yarborough, but, and I'm all for private enterprise and, but,
The only reason why I point this out to you, I mean, theoretically, you have the authority to do this. There's no question that y'all have the authority to do this. I was just trying to figure out why the certificate of I thought it was incumbent upon me to point out to you that the insurance policy is in a name different from the person to whom you are issuing the license, the permit, and that the possessor is Joel Ammons. So I kind of get the Joel Ammons, the M&M. He's probably an employee. He's probably if he was a general contractor or corporation, he'd be the qualifier. I'm assuming he's the qualifier. But I still don't get the insurance part of it. I mean, you could if you wanted to do this, you might want to suggest that you do it upon proof of upon proof of insurance
To Mr. Ammons.
to Mr. Ammons. That this policy applies to Mr. Ammons or to M&M.
Let me ask a question, just a clarification down where it says description of operations.
That's what he's talking
On the insurance
On
policy.
the insurance policy, does that qualify?
Well, it says that this certificate is issued to Joel Ammons, but what that means to me, when I typically see that, is if I'm the owner of a building to be built, I want to see that ABC Construction Company, Inc. is insured, and I'm asking the insurance company to send me, as the property owner, proof of insurance that the general contractor is insured. So I would expect the certificate is issued to him. I just don't know how Hale, I mean, if Hale Artificer Inc. is in no way connected to Mr. Ammons, I mean, I don't get it. I mean, I just don't understand it. And perhaps if I had some time, I could do it. I don't want to tie this thing up, but I think if you were going, and I see it was issued on 5/22/2013. So if you wanted to pass this, I would at least say condition upon proof of adequate insurance. If you want to, if you don't want to approve it, that's, you obviously don't have to do anything, but.
I would move to approve under the condition of that this individual certifies in writing that he has adequate insurance of the individual that's actually doing the performance of the fireworks.
He needs to bring in a certificate.
Okay, I have one more question though that Neil raised, is that, it says employee possessor letter of clearance for Joel Ralph Ammons, but it's only valid under the following federal explosive license permit, and that's to Fraley Frank E. Sylvester.
Right.
So where do we have anything that says that Frankie Sylvester Fraley has approved this?
Or where has insurance coverage? Because the
Yeah.
insurance certificate is for Mr. Ammons.
Yeah.
Well, that's, I mean, as I.
It's just naming him
Well,
as
I'll-
an insured, it doesn't.
Well, I would then
Policy's not in
modify
his name.
the motion to say that he can bring in proof of adequate insurance and authority, proper authority to conduct the demonstration under that
Yeah,
license.
under Fraley's license.
Right.
Yeah, that, if you wanted to do it, that would be,
Yeah, that'd be good.
that would be the way to do it. If you don't want to do it, it's very simple.
If we're going to do it that way, then I would think we want to put a time certain for this action to be verified, because we're talking about the 8th, the day is what?
Saturday.
I understand, that's why I'm saying, put the burden on them,
By Wednesday.
place the burden on them to get.
Close of the day.
Wednesday, close the business Wednesday.
Right.
Okay, well, let's see, we need to get a letter out. Can we do that by tomorrow?
We can get something out to them, it'll have to be hand delivered.
Yeah, that's
Well, I'm hoping that one.
Ms. Conlon has asked to come forward and make up a statement. She says she might have some information that might help you all.
Well, I do know the Ammons family, and I have Joel's mother on the phone. And if you have questions,
Does she have a
perhaps-
certificate of adequate insurance?
Did you hear that?
We're not
Christine?
going to handle this over the phone.
Okay. But
He would have to show up in person.
Yes.
she has said that it is totally legit, that they are bonded, he is licensed. But if you need some other documentation, I'm sure they'll be glad to provide.
If you
just
have
needs
it
to
on the
provide.
phone, then tell us how to get it to them right away. A method to get it to them right away, or they can come by and pick up what we're requesting.
I'm sure
Call
that they
manager
can come by and pick it up tomorrow.
I know, I'm saying while you have it, just tell her that.
Okay.
If they can bring it.
just tell her what we need, and you heard the discussion. Do we need to repeat it, or?
Well,
Just tell her to contact the county manager ASAP.
Okay, we can do that
In the morning.
in the morning.
Okay.
Not a problem.
After 9 o'clock.
I will tell you too, that they have done this over the years, for many years, and they've done it as a community service. They don't charge anybody for it. They do it out at Farrell Roads. They started it for the rest home residents out there, and they have a big open field out there that they've done it. You've been to it a couple of years.
Yeah, and that's not the consideration. The question is our liability, and the documentation that he submitted raises some questions. We need to clarify that.
He'll be here tomorrow.
Thank you. Okay,
So
can we
I
have a motion?
amend the motion so that it has three parts to it. The motion is approval of the permit conditional upon the individual bringing in proof of adequate insurance, that he has proper authority, legal authority to conduct it under that license, and that he complete that by the close of business on Wednesday of this week.
What was the third part of that?
Get all of that completed by close of business Wednesday this week,
Confirmed by the county manager.
as confirmed by the county manager.
And the county attorney.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
All right, you've heard the motion. Any further discussion? I'm sorry, you had a question, Ashley?
Well, no, I mean, Susan helped. I mean, my thing was,
Okay.
you know, if we pass this, the worst case scenario, heaven forbid if something were to go wrong and somebody would get hurt. If we went with Jim's motion, are you comfortable that we would still, we'd be covered?
Well, if it passes muster as to insurance, it's going to be covered. I mean, if I don't feel comfortable about the insurance,
Well, if he's
I
done
won't
this,
say no.
if he's done this before, why is he asking for permission now?
Because he needs to do, he
Yes, to do it.
technically
Each
needs to
event.
do it every time. So,
But has not.
Because we're waiving county ordinances to allow him to do this. We have an ordinance that prohibits use of those fireworks without a special
I
permit.
was just wondering why.
He has to have fire marshals, fire marshal has to inspect,
Do it, that's
plus,
probably-
You have to know.
Now you have to be more critical of what you were
Well,
before.
and that's another thing, I mean, and again, I'm not picking on the individual, but if he, it seems like he's been in this situation before, and it may be just out of the goodness of his heart, people come to him at the last minute asking him to do something, and he says, sure, I'll try to work it out, but if he's got to the point where he has to have a judge's order or a local bill, and now we get this on Monday evening, and he's wanting to do it on Saturday, maybe a discussion about, like Kirk said, timeliness is really important.
All right, no further discussion. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous? Okay, we're to Commissioner Reeves. You have discussion and policy.
Oh, I wanted to ask the board to consider, quite interestingly, this fits very well. When the department heads who offer use of county property during off hours and weekends, I feel like they ought to provide this board, and maybe the manager already knows, but certainly this board, of how to reach the people in charge on weekends or weeknights. Because sometimes things go wrong, and the public calls you because they know you. And we don't have, I don't have numbers for all those folks. So if I've got a department head, I'm a department head and I've got a supervisor who's responsible for the weekend, I'd want to make sure that I have a cell number and a very direct way to contact that individual in case something comes up. And I don't know that we have that as a part of our policy, but we may want to consider doing that.
That's a good point. They may have something all ready to go and nobody's there to open the doors for them.
That's
That's a good
exactly
point.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And this situation is quite interesting. It could be one like that right now.
Yeah, I'm agree. And that happened one time before when we had an incident in Broadway with a health department concern. And I had the numbers for the department heads in their office, but I didn't have their personal cell phone numbers, and it was a weekend, so I had to call the county manager and ask him to get up with the folks. So
Well, that's normally the proper thing to do, is to give me the call. And in this particular instance that happened this past weekend, well, I think I got back to Mr. Reeves within 45 minutes of his call. We had problems getting on the other end what was going on. So, I understand what the problem was, and we will correct it.
That works for me.
Good? We don't need a motion, unless somebody got any other suggestions.
I'll report back to the board. And
Well, I would.
Yeah.
That's what I would recommend, because in the, number one, I don't think it's fair to burden the manager every time something comes up. Some of these things are very simple and ought to be taken care of by the party responsible for it. It's very easy for an individual to simply say, if I'm renting out a space and I'm not going to be available, this is the person, this is the number, and have it somewhere where we can get.
in this particular instance, the people that rented out a facility, they should have been given a name, and in case they get to the facility and things are out of order, they should have been able to just call that number that there was a problem and ask for help.
So that may be the simplest solution to that.
That is the simplest solution.
Minded that they need to get that.
As long as department heads understand they're responsible.
Right.
It doesn't do me any good if that individual didn't take care of it.
Right.
It needs to be a part of their regular duties.
I think probably suggestion is that we let John take care of that with his department heads and brief them. If it happens again, then maybe we need to go further.
Well, I think we can bring a policy back to the board on weekend and evening coverage, because we are 24/7. So
If the person would have received something in writing, said, here, if anything goes wrong, here, this is who you call. That makes sense. That's simple. That's simple.
Good. Okay, so we're good, or we need to do something
We're
further?
good. I'm good.
Okay. All right, so that ends that. We're a little early for public hearing, go figure. So, let's take,
You want to do the commissioner's comments and all that? Or you want to do manager's report?
We got closed session too.
my manager's report is right here. So when Don gets it up, we could watch the video.
We can do we got a closed session.
You got video today. Wow.
Closed session may take more than 20 minutes.
Wishful
That's nice. That's nice.
Wishful thinking.
My car doesn't know how to get home from here before 9 o'clock.
You can't get.
you'll have a program.
Follow you? Yes, exactly.
As soon as this gets going, Mr. Chairman, this is just a video that the Association of County Commissioners is sending out. It's a legislative update. It's a short 5-minute discussion about issues that they feel are important to the association and to county commissioners. So, and that is the only part I have on the report. Is it gone? Are you ready to go? Go ahead. You had that look on your face like, oh my God, it disappeared.
That's a steely-eyed IT look you're getting. I know. I'm like, oh my God. Kyle trains his people to
Charlie and I have seen it 3 times already.
Thanks for taking part in County Assembly Day. It was a great day. Over 200 county commissioners and county staff converged on our state capitol to represent our counties. Your involvement makes such a difference. It is important that we keep this momentum moving forward until the end of the General Assembly session.
Since the last update, the Senate passed its version of the state budget. The plan includes both positive and negative aspects for counties. For the most part, the Senate leaders did not pass down unfunded mandates to counties. The Senate proposed a $100 million allocation of lottery funds for school construction. Keep in mind, however, that counties should receive $180 million. This is a concern. More concerning, however, is the elimination of the statutory guarantee that 40% of lottery proceeds go to county school capital funding. This would be an unwelcome change. There is another area that draws concern, and that is a provision that would start an unsettling precedent of making counties responsible for funding non-county employee benefit costs. In the Senate budget, counties would fund any shortfall in the volunteer fire rescue workers' compensation payments. We estimate this one provision would cost counties statewide $6 million. We are working to correct these issues, but we need your help in relaying these concerns to your legislators.
Now that the Senate budget has passed, it is the House's turn. House budget writers have announced a 3-week schedule that will conclude with a vote on the budget on June 13th. That leaves only 2 weeks to approve a consensus budget between the House, the Senate, and the governor. If agreement is not reached, the Assembly must approve a continuing resolution, also known as a CR, before the end of the fiscal year, which is June 30.
Your advocacy team has been busy working on your legislative goals, many of them to help build options for our counties. One such goal would give some counties the option to publish public notices on their websites and by email instead of purchasing advertisements in newspapers. Again, it is only an option. Due to significant pressure from the North Carolina Press Association, the bill has an uncertain future. This is a situation where we will need every county to support one another to at least give them the option.
Another proposed piece of legislation that will help counties is Senate Bill 321, Contain Counties in Minimum Costs. The bill has passed the Senate, and now we are working to have the bill heard in the House. This legislation will bring counties in line with state policy, capping costs charged to counties for inmate medical care. When enacted, this legislation should cause significant savings for each county. Please tell your House members to support Senate Bill 321, Contain Inmate Medical Costs.
Another NCACC legislative goal making its way through the legislative process is Senate Bill 236, Counties Responsible for School Construction. Originally a statewide bill, it has now been turned into a local bill, impacting only counties that have requested the option. Once the bill passes, it will give these counties an option to have the responsibility to manage all aspects of the school building process. It will also give counties the option of managing other functions, such as maintenance agreements. Again, it is important to stress that our association's strength at the legislature rests in our unity in supporting that counties have options. It is a main point we stress at the General Assembly.
The conversation about tax reform is getting more attention in Raleigh. However, a consensus plan between the House and Senate still seems to be far away. The House takes an incremental approach, lowering the corporate income tax, flattening the personal income tax rate to 5.9%, and broadening the tax base to a limited number of services. The Senate has 2 plans under consideration, one of which would broaden the tax base significantly by taxing most services, including health and professional services, lower the county sales tax rate, modify the local sales tax distribution, but provide a transitional hold harmless for counties. It too would lower the corporate and personal income tax rates. We are still assessing the impacts to counties under all 3 plans. However, leaders have assured us that counties would be held harmless when it comes to revenue generation. We will continue to be involved in this debate and keep you updated as things progress.
We appreciate your taking the time to watch this update. As Lisa said earlier, it is important that we keep the momentum of advocating for your legislative goals at the General Assembly. Be on the lookout for our weekly legislative bulletins and our monthly County Lines newspaper. But when we need your direct help on an issue at the legislature, you will receive an email legislative alert or a personal email from David Thompson. Remember, it is your personal contact with your legislators that really makes a difference. If you need anything, call us directly or visit our website for more detailed information. Thank you.
It's right there on the side.
Don't want to blind the attorney. That's it for my report, Mr. Chairman.
Do we have an update on the road situation out there?
At the industrial park? No, sir.
Mr. Chair, the part of the video we just looked at, I'd like to ask the board to support the idea that we authorize the manager to seek information from our delegation regarding tax reform to find out what the positions are before this thing gets too far down the road, and it may already have. But I'd rather be on record making an official request than sit back and say, well, you should have asked or you should have talked to us. And I think that there are some things in that tax reform bill that may be very essential to people like myself.
We had a, legislative day. We had a good meeting with all three of our legislators. So it would not be hard for us to find out, where they stand.
Both of them are going to be here tomorrow night for a town hall. They're going to both be up there. I think some of the commissioners are being asked to come to it as well.
Where are they meeting?
That's not the same thing. That's not the same thing. That's not the same thing.
Well, I'm going to ask them at the town hall meeting to declare where they are on those bills.
That's okay, but I'm asking for the board to support the idea that we got to make a formal request. As a part of our
I can make a.
I think Commissioner Reeves
It's always
has
political when they come.
No,
I think it's at the GOP headquarters tomorrow.
Well, that's what, yeah.
Welcome, Joe.
That's so.
Good coffee. Yeah, good coffee.
Good jam.
Alarms will go off. 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome.
Y'all have a good time.
Will you have my back, Jim?
I will.
Okay.
Yeah, you're back in your head.
If I'm back.
To have the shirt.
Yeah, let's take,
Voter registration change card there too.
let's take a 10-minute break.
Before we take a break, what have we done here? What are we going to do?
You want me to just send them a letter and ask them to respond in writing where they stand on the
Hopefully, I don't know, we might could ask them to come to the next meeting but if they haven't passed it yet.
You can do that in the letter.
an offer that they can come meet with us.
Okay.
Well,
Probably should ask them at their convenience because they're meeting quite a bit right now to try to get the budgets
And that's
passed.
why I would rather have a written response.
I'll be happy to do that. If the board is concurring.
Is the board concurrent?
Yes,
Yes.
All right.
Okay, let's take a 8-minute break,
Ain't
back
good enough.
in and seated in 2 minutes still.
yes, sir.
This will be the fun one.
I call the Lee County Commissioners back to order and start public hearing on the proposed budget, FY 2013-14 budget. And John, do you want to say something beforehand? Let me just say one thing. We're, each person that come up will be allotted 3 minutes. If someone in front of you has already said what you want to say, just say, that you agree with what they said, or, go ahead and speak. Or if a group wants to come up, that would be fine too. So, but again, allotted 3 minutes. And Commissioner Crawford?
Mr. Chairman, the budget was presented on May 20th, 2013 to the Board of County Commissioners. It's been on file at the library and the clerk's office, and the public hearing was properly advertised in the Sanford Herald. So that's really all I need to say.
All right, very good. All right, and we'll open the public hearing for the budget. And the first one that I have is Mark Hackett. If you would please state your address and the topic that you're going to talk about. Mark.
Good evening, everyone. Everybody can hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. My name is Mark Hackett. I reside at 1497 Abercorn Lane, and I'm interim executive director of Haven and Lee County. Most churches and volunteer organizations are overwhelmed with the amount of clients that need services beyond the scope of their basic mission. Churches are spiritual leaders or guiders. They are often not equipped to deal with victims of sexual assault and domestic violence. From the same nurse that processes the victim of sexual assault to the legal clerk that initiates the 50B protective order. We are trained professionals with specialized skills and education. When I was in the Army, we would go to the firing range. Prior to leaving, we empty out our pockets and we leave or release all ammunition in an amnesty box. In Haven, it is a place of amnesty. It is a place where victims and offenders come and release all ammunition. It is a place of healing to assist people, men, women, and children, in returning to society. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Okay, Lee West.
Lee West, I'm a 2001 Country Club Court. I'm a CPA. I've been a CPA here since the early 70s. And it's not for nothing they call me Lupo Lee West. I'm a professional tax cutter. So I appreciate what you're doing. But also encourage you to look at it from another perspective. As I tell my clients, I hope each one of you pays more income taxes next year than you paid this past year. That's because it's all about after-tax income. One of the things that I observe about Lee County after moving here in the early 70s, I think Lee County is the worst place to live than it's ever been. I think we don't have the jobs people need. They're not well paid enough. Executives who get to choose to work in or assigned to Lee County no longer choose to live here. They go to Cary, Apex, wherever it may be. Over the years, we've lost numerous small businesses. Sanford was once a wealthy town. I'm not sure it is so anymore. We had Leemore Oil Company, the pantries executives have moved. My objective is being on the board and being president of the Temple Theater is I think it's one of the things we can do to improve Lee County as a place to live. Number one, what we have to do, people will live here and we want them to live here by choice and spend their money and make their fortunes here. The first thing we have to offer people is safety. After that, education, and then the arts. And that's why I am a proud member and president of Temple Theater. If you've not been there and aware of what we do, we recently constructed a bathroom that cost us almost $750,000. Feel like dancing.
Somebody supporting the arts?
Somebody supporting the arts. A bathroom cost $225,000. We are developing downtown. We have the finest bathrooms in Lee County. If you've not visited, I encourage you just to do that. People come from Raleigh just to use our bathrooms. But what we do, we are not really a charity. We are a resource for you. This last year, we had one sponsor, Bill Ray of Banking Board, sponsored a show. That helps us. But he turned his tickets over to the Bread Basket, and there he raised almost $12,000. We had another sponsor turn their tickets over to CARA, Carolina Animal Rescue. They raised over $2,000. We're going to continue to do this for most every show we do. Encourage our sponsors to help other charities in Lee County. I encourage the other charities that were mentioned here to contact us to find out how we can help them also in doing this. It's not much of a speaker if you're from the South that can't quote scripture every now and then, but I refer you to Matthew 25 and the talents. One servant was given 5, one 2, and 1. The other one returned 10, the other one returned 4, and the other one returned 1, what was owed, and that wasn't very good, and he was banished. So our purpose in the Temple Theater is to help you get more resources out in the community and help out other charities and other things. We have a year-round Temple Academy. The Temple teams perform in front of thousands of people throughout several counties at no charge. We have 35 kids gaining exposure. Our 2 summer conservatories, which people line up to sign in for on a Tuesday morning, and we're sold out by 10:30 that morning, produce fabulous shows. You go watch that. My time? Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. We're willing to take anything you can spare us. Right now, you got a schedule for 5 cents per Lee County citizen. I think we can do better. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Okay, Mr. Keith Clark.
Keith Clark, 212 Akron Drive, still have all the squirrels. The Evergreen Management Report projected $4 million in savings from the county budget. $2 million for this year, $2 million for next year's budget. Where is it? It does not show up for this year in the budget, nor has there been any disclosure to the public about where that $2 million stands. Why is the board spending $190,000 on economic development when its majority knows it will not support the kind of tax building incentives that Governor Nikki Haley uses to compete with North Carolina and that other counties use to compete with Lee County? The appropriation is linked to a requirement that the local communities raise $250,000 a year for the next 5 years. You know what it is? It's an attempt to shut down economic development so no embarrassing incentives will come before this board. I know what's going on. The request for the trustees of CCCC stood up to a majority of the board and asked for funds in capital funds, and they even have the nerve to ask to let the people vote on whether they want to invest in the 5th largest meeting venue in the Research Triangle Park. Is that why you're trying to get additional seats on the board of community college? You want to increase your control there? I have an email that I have not yet released, of many, from one of the commissioners in which I can document his personal efforts to control nonprofit organizations in Lee County. That is what is behind such statements as they have no worth to Lee County, there are no value, and turn around and say, but the community listening to me will support. Don't worry, folks, they don't listen. There were 42 people at the Republican convention, and if the Democrats had won just one more candidate, Mr. Smith wouldn't be sitting here. So don't blame the Republican Party, blame the Democrats. And I just want to say that those speaking should take their full 3 minutes. This chairman wants to shut down public comment. He wants to shut it down. Those that came in after the hour should be able to sign up. You ought to have another one, so when people hear what you're really doing. This community's tax base did not grow. Half of this community's growth in the last decade was in the Hispanic community. We continue to have double digit. Now, I'll tell you, as a conservative Republican on a fixed income, it's time to invest in this county. I don't want to see our tax base continue to erode. When an ideology governs a majority of a government, eventually it turns authoritative, and this one has. It seeks to destroy those that it cannot control and discredit those that might challenge it. That's why when they asked Tracy Carter if he'd take the SROs, at the very first meeting after the election, they came out and announced it and said, we'll cram it down the public's throat through Mike Stone, and made it look like Tracy Carter was getting a political payoff. They stuck it to him, too. So I appreciate this, and I encourage everybody to take their full 3 minutes, because the chairman doesn't want to hear it. And Mr. Womack, if you want to debate me on any of these issues, sir, come at it.
All right, Kate Rumley.
I'm Kate Rumley. I'm speaking as Kate Rumley about nonprofits. I just am here to remind the county board that nonprofits do the work that governments can't, because it is not part of the mandate of government. However, the work that nonprofits do is very valuable and very necessary. There is no way that the churches can stand up to the plate and offer all the services that the various nonprofits in our community serve. I want to step back just a moment and commend Mr. West. Now, Mr. West is speaking for the Temple, a cultural organization that serves mostly people of a higher income level. That's fine. Cultural events in our community is what makes a community great. Nonprofits like the Boys and Girls Club, Haven, CUOC, Smart Start, and others. There are others on there. The whole entire list are valuable nonprofits and worthy of your money, worthy of our money. I, like Mr. West, hope you all pay more taxes. I am willing to pay more taxes, because the more money I make, the more I can give. And I need to take care of, I personally, and so do you, each one of you, with the monies that you make or that you get from your retirement, from whatever comes to you, in some cases, from government. So let's be real clear where money comes from. And the other thing I want to point out, there was a comment about not wanting to pay staff, that back to the churches, let the churches do it, they don't need staff. Staff members are, like Mark said, professionals. Very important. Sometimes they make more money. Most of the time they make less, much less than the public sector. So nonprofits are part of our world. They need to be part of our world to fill in the gap for those who need it and for things that are necessary for the livability of our city and our county. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Okay, please, Vane Hartman.
Jane Hartman.
I'm sorry, Jay.
Okay, go let's see. Good evening. My name is Jane Hartman. I'm here representing the Temple Theater in particular. I have been a volunteer there with the summer program for the past 3 years, will be 4 years. I've been an ambassador there for the past 2 years, and as of April, I'm now a board member as well. I took this description of the Temple Theater from the Facebook page. I wanted to remind you all of what it says. The Temple Theater is the cornerstone of historic downtown Sanford and Lee County's #1 tourist attraction. We cultivate relationships with our local businesses and not only affect the quality of life for Sanford residents, but also greatly affect the surrounding restaurants and shops' bottom line. The Temple Theater is a community meeting place and a destination for tourists and retirees, as well as others from surrounding counties. We attract our audience from 12 North Carolina counties and serve over 5,500 area youth throughout our various youth programs. The Temple also provides youth scholarships to both summer conservatory sessions, as well as providing student matinees throughout the regular season on Friday mornings at a reduced cost of $6 per student. A recent comment from a teacher whose student saw Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat last month. Thank you, Temple Theater, for providing another excellent show for our students. So many have never seen quality live performance, or any live performance. We can always count on Temple to help us educate culturally diverse students. Ms. Taphorn could not be here tonight because she's in Portland, Oregon. She is helping to put up a production there that she will be bringing to us this time next year, and she is helping with Cats. The Temple also helps to raise funds with other organizations, such as the Bread Basket, and offers free tickets to those less fortunate to each opening night performance. The Temple gives back much to our community in a variety of ways, and yet the county has been reducing any funding to them, as well as other nonprofits, over the course of several years now. If the board really feels it should not contribute any longer to the Temple Theater, that the arts are not important to Lee County, could I at least suggest that you not make any other negative comments publicly in regards to your personal opinions about these organizations, as it discourages the volunteering of donations from individuals and other organizations when you speak negatively of such organizations. As far as voicing such public opinions, I would highly suggest that you check out what these organizations are in fact doing currently before stating, and I quote, "I don't even know if I agree with what they are doing personally, but I am not interested in multicultural programs in the arts. I am not sure that adds value to the community." End of quote. I can tell you that the staff, the various casts, and the local youth at Temple Theater would happily prove you wrong. Thank you.
Thank you. Renee Hartman?
Rain.
Right.
My name is Rain Hartman. I'm speaking for Temple Theater. We are a multicultural nation and a multicultural county. I can't say that word, I'm sorry. Seeking to blend our histories together to bring a better future is something worth doing. Some may only see Lee County and Sanford as places where those who work elsewhere come to live, but not to spend their money. I don't believe that. My work with the Temple Theater has shown me the opportunities that exist for those that pursue their goals, regardless of which path in life they choose. The initiative and pursuit of goals that are what we need to revitalize this community. Proposing that we rely on other communities and their government leadership is to foster hope, drive, and inspiration for Lee County saddens me. I know not everyone in here has multiple children attending a private school with a substandard arts program. I've experienced a drama program at that same school. Myself and others who participate in the youth conservatories at the Temple Theater provide insights and support over multiple years to that school, with Temple staff members even volunteering on their own time to repair the school stage curtain free of charge. I know not everyone has the financial means to attend a private school. Many don't have the ability to pay to attend a show or send their children to one of the conservatories. The theater provides free tickets to those who are less fortunate, and does provide scholarships to those who need them for the conservatories. They also host fundraisers to help other charities such as Bread Basket. I still have hope that many other members of the council will have the fiscal insights to support the county's growth. When choosing the vision to invest in for the future of our community, is yours one of a bleak, gray community without growth? The one that relies on drive and insight from elsewhere? Or is your vision the same as mine? I can't read what I'm writing right now. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Take your time.
Or is your vision the same as mine? A vibrant, thriving community where the insight, inspiration, and opportunities bring people to Sanford and Lee County. Our democracy is not merely about voting. It is about compromise. Out of many different people, we make one county. Out of many flawed ideas, we will create one that works. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Kathy, is it Davis?
Kathy Davis, I'm speaking on behalf of the Temple Theater. I'm actually a Lee County native. I was born here, I was raised here, lived most of my life here, and we have a business here. I've been working with the Temple Theater for the last 13 years with their youth education program in the summer. My daughter started there when she was 18, and she's 21 now and in college, doing well in the theater arts. Tom Dalton has brought so much to this community for our youth. It is unbelievable. You see kids come in there that can't even speak, and today they're up here speaking to y'all as public speakers. So as a citizen of this community who watched the Temple Theater be rebuilt and the program that they have brought to it, I really think that you will be sorry if it goes, because we go out of this community to other theater productions, and everybody talks about how wonderful our theater is, how much we've done, and how much it brings to this community. Well, you know what? Their communities put hundreds of thousands of dollars into their theater and their community to bring people in, and we get nothing. So please consider the other nonprofits that we help, because they make this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Beth Whitehead.
I'm Beth Whitehead Bray, Executive Director of the Lee County Arts Council. I'm first going to tell you a little about myself personally. I grew up in Sanford. I was a footlight player in the 1970s. I was in band and I was in dance. I can promise you that the arts are the reason that I'm standing before you today. As a footlight player, I developed the confidence to speak in front of people and get over my shyness and my introverted ways. Band taught me teamwork. I was a marching band member who had to learn to go in line or I would mess up the performance. Teamwork is very important as part of being a member of a nonprofit organization. Dance taught me discipline. I want you to know, I don't do this for the money. You better believe I don't. I do this because I'm passionate about the arts. I know what it gave me. I know what it gives other children as well. The Lee County Arts Council receives its funding through a grant from the North Carolina Arts Council. 2012-2013, we dispersed, among other nonprofits in Lee County, $15,718. The organizations must be nonprofits and they must carry out arts programming. The organizations that we helped this year, Heart of Carolina Jazz Society, Boys and Girls Club of Lee County, both Church Street and O.T. Sloan locations, LCI, Lee County Community Orchestra, Stevens Center, High Hopes Chorus, A Common Thread, and Sanford Brush and Palette Club. The committee selects these organizations with conservatism in mind. We're going to stretch that money as far as it can go and reach as many different people in this county as we can. We were able to reach 7,000 people through these grants this year. They include senior citizens, disabled residents, children, and other people who might not otherwise experience the arts. Our services will not be duplicated because we are the Arts Council of Lee County. We are the only designated county partner of the North Carolina Arts Council that receives North Carolina Arts Council that receives these funds. As important as economic factors are to new businesses and residents in this community, let me assure you the intangibles like a vibrant arts community are equally as important. We appreciate any funding that we receive, but I want to let you know I work among a group of very dynamic executive directors of nonprofits who really care about this county, and I can promise you that any funds that we do receive, we will be frugal with it, and we will make it go as far as we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Okay, Bo Hendricks.
I'm Bo Hedrick. I'm the director of Boys and Girls Club, and I guess the reason that I've come here was exemplified on the steps as I was walking in. The person in the room said, "Did you come to get the rest of the money?" And I just wish that a fact would have been mentioned on Friday. The resources that are requested by the club are used only for transportation to bring about 200 children a day from Lee County schools, where the buses are overloaded. They don't have resources to buy any more buses, to the Boys and Girls Club. And it's not used for anything else. It's really a contract for service. And the reason that I just wanted to come and mention that is because the person who asked that question to me on the steps, I'm sure, will not take the time to support what happens in Boys and Girls Club. And for those who really wonder about how we're doing, we've been living on 2 weeks of cash flow for the past 3 months. And I got a $10,000 line of credit with the bank from 4 weeks ago. So I just wanted to state that fact so that folks would understand what that was being used for. In reality, it saves the Lee County taxpayer money because we're not buying more buses or going through that expense every afternoon. And so appreciate the support, and I just hope that children don't suffer from not knowing that information.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Martha Underwood.
Martha Underwood speaking. Thank you, Commissioners. Your detailed budget review to right-size the county budget. I attended many of those sessions and learned about Lee County's big picture. I am grateful that you will establish a priority list to fund vital projects this year if county income is higher than projected. The decisions you make this month will have major impact on Lee County's future growth and prosperity. Please make decisions that bless the land, the water, and the people, and position Lee County for the coming economic recovery. Here are two of many growth opportunities now occurring. A modern workforce of job-ready people is being trained in our nationally acclaimed school apprentice programs and community college. Please provide a business climate that draws great employers here so our graduates do not move away. Likewise, we now have a North Carolina retirement destination advertised nationally. Please encourage growth of the housing, transportation, healthcare, recreation, and other issues that make our area attractive to retirees. Encourage does not mean appropriate money, but rather to create a welcoming business climate, timely response to issues, expedited infrastructure construction, and more. Concerning priorities to bless the land, water, and people, Lee County agricultural output is $150 million annually, but tobacco is declining as federal subsidies disappear. We are hamstrung with vacant positions at Cooperative Extension because NC State University is not funding their half of agent salaries. Please expedite a hiring solution since we taxpayers fund and consult these services also and are directly impacted by this shortage. Also, I applaud the Energy Expert Advisory Committee created to ensure environmental protection during energy extraction. Likewise, please continue negotiating affordable drinking water and wastewater access for all county residents. Concerning positioning us for the coming economic recovery, please consider proactively stimulating development that quickly benefits Lee County along the nearly completed NC 421 bypass. One potential investment would be to add breakout rooms at the Civic Center and upgrade a smart boards and electronics that connect meetings remotely around the state. Our facility is reasonable to rent and a pleasant 1-hour drive from population centers north and south of us. We need to do this before another county fills this need. Likewise, continue to expedite commercial expansion along US 1, NC 421, and NC 87 to make Lee County an attractive relocation destination. Time's too short for more, but I urge you to balance taxpayer pain with the need to invest in critical sectors that will position Lee County for the coming economic recovery. Thank you.
One of the reasons that I had a sign-up sheet was to sort of have an orderly start for their public hearing. If there's anybody else that would like to speak on the matter of the budget, I'll start with those that want to speak for the budget. If there's anybody, please raise your hand. Okay. Anybody want to speak against the budget or for recommendations, please raise your hand. Yes? Okay, got 3 minutes, and if you would state your name and your address and the subject you're talking on.
My name is Kathy Guthrie. I'm actually from Siler City, North Carolina, and I drove here today to speak on behalf of Temple Theater. I have submitted written comments to this board, which I hope you'll take under consideration, but I will give you a high-level version of what I sent to you today. Temple Theater provides not only the cultural parts that everyone else has spoken to, so I'm not going to reiterate that, but you can see my daughter is here. She's the reason I come. We've been part of Temple Theater's family for the past year. I drive 70 miles round trip to this county for my daughter to have the opportunities that Temple Theater provides. While I'm here, I'm shopping at your local merchants. I'm fueling at your gas stations. I am visiting your cultural centers. I'm supporting your local merchants. When she is practicing for a play, I am here 7 days a week for 3 weeks. When she's here for a run, I'm here for 3 weeks. It's too far for me to drive home, so I have time to kill. And when I'm here, I'm spending money. And some of the places where I spend money include the Dairy Barn, the Steel Pig, Bay Breeze, La Dulce Vida, Elizabeth's, the shops at Steel Street, Dawson Backs, where I bought my most recent table and chair set, and my in-laws have also been encouraged to come from Pittsburgh and purchase furniture from Dawson Backs based on my recommendation. Sandra's Bakery, Sanford's Antique Mall, Dandelia Bakery, some of your books at Steel Shop. I also have frequented other merchants, including Chick-fil-A, Cracker Barrel, Applebee's, and others that aren't technically local, but the money still stays here in Lee County. When people come to see a show at Temple, they dine at your establishments. They park on your streets, and they stroll around while they wait for the show to start. There are charming stores right around the corner from Temple. To say that Temple Theater does not provide value is simply not true. It fuels money into the economy, into a downtown that needs the money, needs the revitalization. Without Temple, I would not have a reason to be in Sanford. I would have never known about the amazing little stores that are here. So I just want to have you take that under consideration when you're determining what is value. If you don't think about the cultural value, which is amazing and is something that should be under consideration, please think about the economic effects and what Temple does bring into Lee County every time they have a show. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Anyone else want to speak on the budget?
No.
Okay.
My name is Tom Dalton. I'm an education director for Temple Theater and probably responsible for a lot of these young people. First of all, I have a plaque on my wall given to me by the Boys and Girls Club, who I absolutely respect and enjoyed working with. That plaque was as a result of my working with them in multicultural arts programming. I'm an educator. I'm also an actor, but that pales in comparison to my educating. I see the value every day. It's what I do. In terms of Temple Theater and the education program, I watched that program go from 18 kids to well over 90 during the summer alone. Temple Teens, as Lee West said, we provide that service free of charge. It's not free to me. I got to pay to drive. I'm their chauffeur, along with their parents. I bring the equipment. I put $1,000 of my own money into their equipment because I care and I see the value. Interestingly enough, I get phone calls from the city of Sanford and from the county of Lee asking us to provide our free service for their functions. Clearly, the city of Sanford and the county of Lee must see a value. I know because I go. I've canceled my plane flights to see my family in Texas because I got a phone call from somebody in the city saying there's a 4th of July. Can you perform? I canceled my flight because I know the value of these kids. Normally I let them do my talking for me. They're pretty good at it. Whether these kids are performing for burn victims, Ronald McDonald House, or 2 weeks ago at the Sanford Health and Rehab for people who, for an hour of their lives, were enriched by these young people. Got a phone call today from Abby Forbes at the Sanford Health and Rehab, telling me how much she would love for us to come back and how the residents were signing a card and make sure that the Temple teens saw it because they appreciated what they did for them. These are kids who have the courage to stand up and give back, which is a lot more than I can say about a lot of adults. Temple Theater is not just about putting plays on at night. And that's what I think some people don't understand. I am fortunate. I give of myself, I give of my money, and I ask nothing but the dedication of these young people. And they give it wholeheartedly. I've watched kids become better people, become better citizens, graduate from major universities. I've had kids thank me who've never gone into theater. If you think theater's about putting on a play, then you think music's about listening to an iPod. And that's sad. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Hello, my name is Rosa Portillo. I'm with Haven and Lee County. I'm their court advocate. I've been with Haven for 4 years. I just want to let y'all know that since January of this year, I have seen 200 people, all from Lee County, which is a lot. Statistically speaking, all the people that are in here have either known someone or been a victim of domestic violence or sexual assault, which is mind-boggling for me just because statistically speaking, 1 in 6 men have been sexually assaulted. So you can do the numbers. I'm not good in math or counting. Y'all can count around. And also 1 in 4 women have been victims of domestic violence. And if you do think about that, that's a community issue. I know everybody's here talking about their own nonprofits, and especially Temple Theater. Temple Theater, awesome. But we need a safe community for people to come and visit, to be able to go to Temple Theater, to be able to feel safe. If we don't have safe communities, safe families, what are we doing? And I think Haven is very important for that because we see all types of people. Domestic violence and sexual assault does not discriminate. It can affect anyone. And I think that maybe you should really think about how you're budgeting. I don't know how that works. This is the first time I've ever been here. I'm not too sure, but just think about all the other agencies that are being affected. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I know I've spoken. I'd like 45 more seconds.
Okay. Hang on just a minute. Let me see if there's anybody else. Okay, we have a young lady here. Go ahead with your 45 seconds.
All right, sir. I think
We'll give her
I may get impeached for this, being president of the Temple Theater, but I've got an offer for you. We don't
need $3,000 or $8,000. That equates to 5 cents or 12 cents per Lee County citizen. That's not a lot of money for us. It's not a lot of money for you. What we need is $20,000 to do what we need. We need it from the county and the city, like we used to get in the 80s and 90s. So I want $40,000, not this year. You take our $3,000 and spread it out among the other charities this year. Some of my supporters, I believe they're supporters, will make it up for our theater. I'm just making you that offer because we want to propose to you next year a more precise items of how we provide more than the $20,000 we'll get or $40,000. We need about $40,000 in order to secure our foundation. And we want to help other charities, and we don't feel like we're competing against other charities. We're not really a charity. We're a nonprofit organization, but we're a business organization. And I think we can do that. If we come out with zero here, I'll find some way to find it, to make it up to Ms. Taphorn. If not, I think the board will impeach me. So I thank you.
Okay.
Are we back on the 3-minute schedule?
Yeah. You might want to, so everybody can hear you, stand behind the podium there and pull your microphone.
All right.
There you go.
Well, my name is Amelia Guthrie, and my mom has already spoken. But I would like to say that I haven't had this much fun in acting for a long time, because Temple Theater is really fun, and a lot of people like to go there to learn and have fun singing and dancing and acting and performing in front of people. I would not have an acting career without Temple Theater. I have been in movies including Nevermore, which is coming out next year. So I just want to say that Temple Theater is important to me and the rest of the community, and I hope that you don't take its funding away.
Okay, is there anybody else to speak on the budget?
45 seconds, Mr. Chairman. I want to talk about hope and despair. When the people believe that it doesn't matter whether they come here or not, they don't come. When people recognize that people are intimidated, their character's attacked, for standing up, they don't come. Now, the Temple Theater is even selling excess costumes on eBay. They've raised $314. The return per hour for volunteers is about $1.25. You've got a better entrepreneur there. There's no better entrepreneur in Lee County. You need to restore hope.
Anyone else that we've missed that wanted to speak? If not, declare the public hearing on the budget closed.
Mr. Chair, before you do that, let me stand. I've been here a long time. This is the best turnout I've witnessed in over 20 years. It is high time people got up off their sofas and come to these meetings and demand your fair share. And I'm very proud of each and every one of you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Reed.
Good job, Kevin. My family's Awesome. I'm really concerned about tax base that's not growing.
Rosa, would you say your name?
How are you?
Tax base that's not growing.
I don't get to see you anymore. I don't know your neighborhood.
You look at the numbers, you will want to go. Penny, $1,000.
Pardon me? Sure, knock yourself out.
And I'm glad you're going to listen to
I just needed to spell it.
all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, I think we need to bring people who work on intellectual capital to make these things that the U.S. public here. And we need to bring people here.
I used to judge you.
Okay, I'd like to open a public hearing now for the 2013-2014 Fire District tax rates. Mr. Crump.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. On page 79 of your agenda are the proposed rates for the fiscal year 2013-14 Lee County Fire District. Mayor Andrews, Chairman of our Fire Advisory Board, presented these rates at the May 20th, 2013 Board of Commissioners meeting, and they've been on file in the clerk's office and the library, and been properly advertised on page 80, so we're ready for that public hearing.
Okay. I'd like to open the floor to the public hearing for the Fire District budget hearing. Anybody wish to speak for rate increase or the rates? Those opposed? I guess we have no speaking, so declare the public hearing closed. Did we put a vote on that, or is it,
No,
gotta wait till
the schedule for the remaining budget processes, we have a workshop scheduled for next Monday from 2 to 4, and then we have a normal commissioners meeting on the 17th, and we have a public hearing on the fire districts and the changes to the service districts on the 24th, and we propose to pass the budgets at the meeting on the 24th. So unless we meet Monday on the 10th and decide to have further meetings on the departmental budgets, that should be it. Before we vote on it.
Encourage everyone to be at that, because that's where we actually finalize the budget that will be presented to us. So.
And then we have the community college and general services tomorrow from 1 to 5.
1 to 5, I thought we had 3 things.
Well, general services has general services and solid waste.
Okay, proceed into, you don't have any more report, right, Jeff?
That's it, sir.
Okay, let's proceed into commissioner comments. We'll start with Mr. Frazier.
I just want to echo the thoughts that Mr. Reeves mentioned a moment ago about the public hearing. I think that people who are concerned ought to come and voice their opinion or voice how they feel about their budgets and things that affect them. And so I just want to thank those persons who have come and tonight to share their concerns, and my hat goes off to them.
I just would like to see that happen more often. It was great. Thank you.
Same here.
Just to reiterate, we're getting ready for our youth program coming up next month. There will be no acting involved. and they will learn properly that democracy is not what we are. We are a representative republic. But that being said, on the 8th of July, we're going to have from between 9 and 11 at the McSwain Center. I'd like as many commissioners as I can possibly get to make available some time to meet the students at that time. And we're planning on either a luncheon or dinner. We'll confirm that for the 19th. And as many of you could attend that, that would be great. Friday the 19th. So I'm just giving you a heads up. We're working on the plans. We're going to solidify it here within a week or two.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I could just take a couple of minutes, and I'm sorry that some of the folks from the earlier public hearing aren't still here to hear these words, because I think that there may be, it might be educational for some of them. It's been widely reported this week, and I think I was perhaps the target of some of the criticisms earlier, that I believe that the nonprofits don't add value to the community. Or that some commissioners, unnamed, might feel that way. And I don't think that there's a commissioner at this table that believes that nonprofits do not add value to the community. In fact, quite the contrary, I serve on the board of directors of Family Promise, a nonprofit, on the board of directors for the Outreach Mission, which provides homeless shelters for the men and the women. I serve on both boards of directors. I've been an active member at the Bread of Life Ministries for many years. I've supported the CUOC and the Bread Basket in redistributing food around the county so that the hungry can be fed. I don't know anybody in this community that gives more time or more energy to nonprofits than I do. I'm not saying there aren't. I'm just saying I don't know anybody that does. I mean, my wife, to a fault, criticizes me all the time because I spend more time with the nonprofits than I do with my own family. Now, I will tell you that there is a principle involved here, and the principle is that we are the stewards of the taxpayers' money. And it is important that we only fund those services that are constitutionally mandated or that are required by general statutes to provide the services that we have been empowered and given stewardship over. It is inappropriate for us to be dispensing money and redirecting funds from fixed income seniors in this county to pay for entertainment on the part of other people in the county. It's just inappropriate. That's not to say that we don't find value in the nonprofits. And to the contrary, we find great value in the nonprofits. I go to the Temple Theater. I don't mind paying a little more on the ticket price. I would much rather pay more on the ticket price for my tickets at the Temple Theater, or to pay for my child to attend a repository there, than to take money from someone less well off in the county so that they subsidize my entertainment. It's just not appropriate to do that. Now, there are those among us that share, for good reason, that share the opinion that the nonprofits deserve to have money redirected from our taxpayers so that they can survive or exist. And you can make a case for that. There are valid reasons to say that they do add value and that it is worth the investment. I would argue that people of principle that believe the other way should also be respected. And that it's not that we don't think that children should participate in multicultural arts, or that some kids should be able to go to the Boys and Girls Club in the evening to receive tutorial assistance at the Boys and Girls Club. We do believe that. The difference is that how it's subsidized or how it's paid for. That's what this issue is about. Most of the people that spoke at our budget hearing were speaking on behalf of the Temple Theater or other nonprofits. We believe that those nonprofits should survive, and we believe that they should be recipients of great charitable giving. Some of us just don't believe that it should come at the taxpayer's expense, and that it is my intention that we should continue to wean away from public subsidy of those nonprofits, that the nonprofits should survive on their own merits based on the charitable giving and the support of the individuals and the corporations in this county. That's who should support the nonprofits. I personally am running 3 fundraisers this year for nonprofits. I'm going to add a 4th one to my list as of some information I heard at the budget hearing today. I will carve out time. I will work myself for every waking moment that I have to help the nonprofits achieve funding. But I'm not going to take that money out of the pockets of taxpayers in Lee County so that we can have multicultural arts or so that we can provide safe haven for other people. It's just inappropriate. As long as there's a service, as long as there's a way or a means for those services to be provided without going to the taxpayers, that's the way it needs to be done. And I felt compelled to say that today because I don't think it's appropriate that it be reported in the paper that I don't think that they add value to the community or that they are somehow undeserving of funding, because they are. It's just that it shouldn't come at the taxpayer's expense. And I'm done.
Thank you for those comments. Hurts, doesn't it? I know it does. I'll say this. A large number of the people involved in nonprofits are also taxpayers. And they are certainly entitled to be considered along with any and everybody else in any other nonprofit that we are funding. Right is right. Mr. Chair, I will go on to say that I'm not sure that this board shouldn't consider finding a way to offer people who are against or oppose fracking an opportunity to speak to the public. I know that we have public comments. 3 minutes is not nearly enough. We have a situation where recommendations regarding fracking are going to be provided. We have opportunities here among ourselves to make comments pro or con about it. But there ought to be some avenue, this board ought to consider some avenue to allow those who are in strong opposition to have an audience to speak to the general population. And I hope that we'll consider that very soon.
What forum would you like to use, Commissioner?
I would, quite frankly, I'd like to see us appoint a committee of those who are willing to serve, a very small committee. I'm not a guy who believes in a lot of meetings, but I think that we can find good, experienced, knowledgeable people who will come forward and provide our county citizens who are not in favor of it at this point in time, provide information that we might otherwise not get at all.
The reason I ask that question is because we've had forum after forum at the McSwain Center. I've been to several of those where everybody was able to speak and give briefings and things like that. So
I understand that. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying the board provide that opportunity.
So would you recommend a public hearing or?
What I would recommend is that we select or ask for volunteers to come forward with the experience and background that we think is appropriate. Select them and ask periodically, once or twice a year, to come forward, or maybe every quarter. That might be better. I'm asking each one of you to give some thought to how we might present it.
Mr. Chair, I would offer that the ACEI organization that we voted earlier today to join has several subject matter experts that have offered to host a conference here in Lee County, North Carolina, sometime in the next 6 to 8 months, where they would bring subject matter experts from all over the industry to bring displays, everything from legal advice to industry experts, and invite environmental groups to participate as well, so that we can have a forum here in Lee County hosted at the Civic Center. We can schedule the Civic Center for that purpose, and we'd be a paid user of the Civic Center for that purpose. And that would go a long ways towards education.
And that would be good. But I'm talking about a committee made up of property owners here in Lee County that are not in favor of it. I often read in the Sanford Herald comments, I think the gentleman's name is Mr. Ed Harris. I've read comments based on meetings he has attended, perhaps somewhere else, could have been here, I don't know. But they were things that I think quite a few people ought to know about. And because we serve the public, we ought to provide an avenue for those folks to come forward and have their say. So I'm not talking about outside people, landowners here, property owners here.
Well, would you want an identified group of homeowners, or would we want to open it up to all homeowners to come and speak for or against?
Well, I think that opportunity allows all homeowners now. I'm looking for a group who's going to track what's going on.
Is it appropriate, since the press is here tonight, to ask for people to contact us?
The manager's
The
office.
manager's office about their willingness to be part of that committee?
I'm asking the board to brainstorm. Yes, that's fine with me. I just think that there are people out there who are strongly against fracking and have no avenue, no formal way of voicing.
I beg to differ, because there was an article or an ad in the paper where some lawyers were pooling resources to have people come pay for it.
We've had a dozen forums in this county in the last 3 months, a dozen forums where people have had the freedom to come out and speak and make public comment, both to the state regulators as well as locally. We have, in fact, I ordered that those meetings be hosted here in Lee County.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
So what forums do we need? What additional forums are you asking for?
For this board to appoint a committee who would come in for that sole purpose.
Choose us.
This board.
Well, why don't we have the Environmental Review and Advisory Committee do that? I mean, the ERAC it was created for the purpose of monitoring the quality of the environment, which is 90% of the argument against this.
That'll work. If they'll come and present their opposite side.
Are they an objective board?
All the citizens of Lee County.
Everybody that applied from Lee County was accepted into
But
it.
I mean, are they all in favor of fracking?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, no, I mean, that's.
I mean, we didn't poll them. That wasn't a litmus test to join the ERAC.
But they met, so,
Yeah.
you know, so I mean,
I've attended a couple of their meetings, and they're pretty. I would say they're very highly technical, but they are very, very thorough in their research, and they've got as much expertise as I've got on my Mining and Energy Commission.
Okay.
So
So let's think about that, but that might be a valid suggestion that might solve Commissioner Reeves' concern.
It ought to be all our concerns. I'm just simply saying that if people out there got together and decided they wanted a forum to present their opposition, that this board, our taxpayers, ought to have that right to come before this board and do that.
more than a 3-minute public comment.
Yes. And we're making commission comments. I thought that this would be a good time to lay it out on the table and give it some thought. That's all. You know, every time I hear something, everything good about one thing, something's wrong with it. And if it was that good, it'd be everywhere.
it is. It's happening everywhere.
Something about the Affordable Care Act comes to mind.
Well, I'm sure it would come to your mind.
In our wallets too.
Okay, do you have anything else?
It's a cost to live.
Okay, I don't have anything to add or subtract or whatever, so you'll read our
I move we go into closed session to discuss matters relating to the location or expansion of business in the area per North Carolina General Statutes 143-318, period 11, A, 4, and to discuss a personal matter per North Carolina General Statute.
Thank you.